Yo guys, welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about greater rifts and pushing and people who want to clear a GR150 before we move on to Diablo 4. Far and large, this is the easiest season to get a GR150 clear, and there are multiple classes that you can play that are actually really easy to achieve this. Even at the bottom of the Wizard leaderboards right now, we've got people clearing GR150 in 6 minutes. If we move over to the Necromancer leaderboards, even number 1000 is still a GR150 clear, even though it is in 1456, there are still a huge number of GR150 clears this season. So in this video, we're going to discuss some of the elements about how to get a top clear, how to secure a position on the leaderboards, but also just how to achieve that 150 if you haven't done that yet. So the first thing to note about pushing greater rifts is that it is all about finding that one run. Greater rifts are absolutely not about just going up a tier and just keep going up and up and up and clearing them until you get to 150 and you clear it. Generally speaking, it's quite a journey where you're going to fail a lot of maps. Now, there are specific builds this season that can pretty much clear a 150 regardless of the map, but outside of Season 28, it's generally about getting that right run. So let's start off by talking a little bit about what the right run entails. So the first thing to take note of when you go into a greater rift is, what map are you spawning? There are several maps in this game that are absolutely terrible, and if you see that as your first level, you're going to want to get out. One example of that is the keeps. The keeps just have a ton of walls and little doorways that you have to try to squeeze enemies through to pack them up. Generally speaking, the best maps that you can get, as a rule of thumb, are open fields. Anything that just has a big open space where you can pull enemies together without having to worry about them getting stuck on anything or blocked by anything. This is one of several different luck factors that GRs entail, and so when you're pushing to get that perfect run, a lot of the time it's not even necessarily the most skilled player who's going to get to the top of the ranks, but rather the person who's the most knowledgeable, the person who knows which maps are good, which monster sets are good, where certain pylons are going to be spawning, and how much progress you need into that greater rift to get that pylon to spawn. So to talk a little bit about the different monster sets that you can encounter in greater rifts, these are going to make a pretty large difference. Each monster will give you a certain percent of progress towards the completion of the greater rift bar. When you compare their hit points to how much progress they give you, there are definitely certain monsters and certain monster groups that are a lot more valuable than others. Instead of diving into each one of the monster sets, which would take a very long time, what I'm going to do is leave a link down below in the description to Warpath, which will give you very detailed statistics about each monster set. I would definitely recommend checking that out and at least familiarizing yourself with some of the better monster sets, so that way you'll know when you encounter them and you know when you've got a good map and a good monster set. So when it comes to the pylons, there are definitely better and worse pylons in this game. Conduit is far and large the most valuable pylon that you can get. So if you're running a greater rift and you fail it, but you don't hit that conduit pylon, that could absolutely explain why you didn't get the clear. And lastly, in Season 28, we also have one more variable that plays a pretty large part, at least in getting that perfect clear, or potentially even just getting you that 150 clear in the first place, and that is potions, and rolling your potion in which shrine effect you're getting right off the bat. So the moment that you open your greater rift, there's a lot of things to be looking at. Which map did you get? When you go out a little bit, what is the monster set? And lastly, when you pop your potion, which effect did you get? If you can put all three of these RNG factors together and get good rolls, you're very likely to get your best clear. And top that off with a perfectly positioned conduit pylon that you have pulled multiple elites to, you're gonna do just fine. If you've ever watched top players stream this game, what they do is the moment they run into a greater rift, a lot of the time, they just instantly close it. In fact, I would say that most of the time they open a GR150, they're leaving and closing it. Probably only about maybe 1 in 4, maybe even 1 in 5 keys are runs that they'll take. Especially if they're going for a rank 1 clear, it might even take them up to 30 keys just to get that right map and that right monster set. So farm out a lot of keys and just be prepared to close greater rifts and accept that you're going to fail most of them by your own choice. If you're opening a really high tier greater rift and you're always making an attempt to clear it no matter which map you get, this can get really discouraging, especially if you start to fail it multiple times in a row. You may start to get this idea that that GR tier is just not possible for your character. So my best advice in this regard is just to be patient, be okay with closing maps, and just re-rolling and re-rolling until everything lines up. So let's go ahead and dive into a few tips that you may just want to consider while you're actually going through your run. The first thing that I'd like to go over is that elite monsters themselves do not give more experience when you kill them. The only thing that actually gives you a bonus from them is the orbs. And so one thing you'll want to avoid is sticking around just to kill maybe a few of those silver bordered enemies. Now in Season 28, of course, we do get an extra progress orb when we kill the entire elite pack, but outside of Season 28, and even sometimes within Season 28, it's not really worth it to stick around and kill these really high health enemies just for one additional progress orb. Another thing to bear in mind is that it is okay to skip bad elites. If you come across an elite, for example, let's say a burrower, when they go underground, you can't damage them. When they come up, they've got this huge rock shield on them that you have to break down. Let's say on top of that this monster also has the shielding affix. This is not a fight that is worth your time, so it is absolutely okay to just run past it. The same thing applies to bad maps. A lot of really good clears actually have a really good first map, but a really bad second map, where they just quickly run to the end to get down to the next level as quickly as possible. Also keep in mind that pylons are spawned based on how much progress you've made in the Greater Rift. Now, this is variable. Sometimes you have to get up to 25% progress to actually spawn a shrine. Sometimes it's only 10%, so there is a little RNG in there. But if you just run in and immediately start looking for a pylon without having killed any monsters, you're not going to find one. For those of you out there who are looking to just clear a GR150 for the first time, I highly recommend trying out the Tal Rasha Meteor build or the Trag'oul Necromancer. In my opinion, the Tal Rasha build is a little bit easier to play. There's not really much to it. Honestly, you can clear a GR150 without even really grouping enemies effectively, without hitting good pylons. You can play just very decently and still get a clear with this build. The Star Pack version that plays Arcane is definitely better, but the cold version is easier. The cold version is very simple. You are just spamming meteors everywhere. When you first run into a GR150 with this build, don't get discouraged if it looks like you're not doing much damage. This build uses the Smoldering Core, and so we have to hit enemies multiple times to really get our damage multipliers up there. Over time, you'll definitely start to see your damage rising the more you hit the same enemy. Now, at the end of the day, I'm not the best player in the world. If I can clear a GR150, I'm very confident that you can do it too. I'm going to go ahead and put up some gameplay of 2 GR150s that I just ran back to back with this build. As always, guys, I really appreciate you all for watching. Drop a comment down below. Let me know if you were able to clear a GR150 this season, or if you just achieved a new personal best. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay, and I'll catch you on the next one.
It's like falling down these lies again. This feeling that I have deep down inside. I just wanna be the one you need. And now I need you by my side. I can't sleep at night. Let's get lost in time. Leave it all behind. I can't get enough of that I'm enough. Let me be the one for you. Is this just a dream? I didn't do anything to you. I just want to go back. When our silence is too much. When our silence is too much. side. I'm better on the other side.